also for you as agents to understand a little bit more about how you can work with PT and how you can use it to support your business. Samalat Pagi, my name is Gordon. I am the Client Relations Manager for Pearson Test of English, looking after Indonesia, Thailand, and Singapore. And today I'll talk about PT in Indonesia specifically and tell you why it's the secure, accurate, and trusted English test for study abroad and migration, and why we see it as a growing popularity in Indonesia and a great option for your students and opening up their study abroad opportunities. So, what is the PTE or the Pearson Test of English? Well, it's a high stakes language test, meaning it can be used for visas, it can be used for university entrance, like an IELTS, like a TOEFL, used for the same reasons. And it is secure, accurate, and trusted by governments around the world, by top universities around the world, as a way to showcase your proficiency in English. So a way to prove what your English language level is. And for our test takers, we offer something that's fast, fair, and simple. So what are the fast? The fast is that you can do the whole test in 1 2-hour sitting, and you get your results back under 48 hours, which is a real big draw for a lot of our test takers. They like that fast score return time. As far as I know, it's still one of the fastest of the high stakes, widely accepted high stakes tests, still the fastest on the market. So being able to get your test results back under 48 hours and start sending off to schools or to meet a deadline, say for work holiday visa or something like that, it's a very popular draw. Fair. We use AI marking engine with some human support in some questions, but the AI marking engine essentially removes the possibility of human bias, that you'll be judged on something other than your English ability, maybe how you're dressed, your gender, religion, something other than what's coming out of your mouth, other than your English. And we hope that doesn't happen. We don't think it happens a lot in other tests, but there's always that possibility whenever you have, human markers marking the tests. There's also stuff called like unconscious bias, and it might not be anything about appearance, but teachers are people marking the, say, written essay in a lot of high stakes tests, and teachers have a natural bias against extreme scores, meaning they don't like to give 0, but they also don't like to give 100% either. So that's some reasons, part of the reason why, in the essay writing and other tests, when there's a human marker, it might be hard to score 100% or that top score, because teachers are naturally predispositioned, meaning they want to find errors in your writing. They feel like that's my job as the human marker. And so they'll go out of their way to find errors. And sometimes it might not be an error. It might just be a preference for how something could be worded. And so you're marked down for something you shouldn't get marked down. But the AI is only working on data and how it's been trained, right? And so it's trained only to look at, language function and right or wrong. And so it's a more fair outcome in how you're marked when the AI is doing the marking or predominantly doing the marking. And simple. That's the other big draw for our test, in that you can do it all 4 skills in 1 2-hour setting at a computer console in one of our computer console in one of our test centers, and you don't have to wait around and then come back for the interview portion. It's all done in the comfort of a computer console in 1 2-hour sitting, and once you're done, and then within 2 days you get your score back. Yeah. Just as I had mentioned, why it's widely accepted around the world, and our acceptance keeps growing, and more universities come on board, and we get more and more government recognitions all the time for PTE. It's proven to be secure, right? We're accepted by the governments of Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, for all visa types. And, these governments only accept tests that they are sure they can rely on the results. And so we have that security, and that security, not only that, our test results are shown to be accurate, so that universities, departments, they know that they can rely on those scores as an accurate depiction of the test taker's English abilities. And so that's why we're trusted around the world and have a strong reputation. Just what makes it unique? Yeah, convenient, accurate and objective scoring, relevant in that that we can do unique things with the PTE, like measure two skills within one item type. So, for example, you can have an item type that's that is measuring both your listening and your speaking. So it might be prominently a listening question, but it's also measuring how you respond to what you hear. And that's more authentic in how we actually use language. We don't generally use language in isolation. We're using language more holistically. And the PT actually has the ability to measure this where other tests do not. And then because it's administered at one of our test centers, we have a lot of control over the security of the test. And that's really important to the governments and the schools that recognize us. So I talked a little bit about test centers already. We have a growing test center network with 490 plus test centers around the world in 115 countries. And you can see the nearest test center simply by going to our website, pearsonpt.com, and typing in your country, Indonesia. And in Indonesia, you will see 4 test centers come up and a calendar of their upcoming testing. So you can see the blocked out are when they have available test dates. Now, at Multimatics, for example, if I wanted to choose, Friday, September 12th, sorry, this is in the past, but it might show me one time at 11 a.m. or it might even show me 2 blocks that are available in that time. So maybe I could sit at 11 a.m., maybe I can sit at 3 p.m. So sometimes they'll even have 2 within one day that you can select from. So we have those 4 test centers at $222 US is the current price to book PTE. So our test centers, our newest one is in Multimatics, which we opened earlier this year in South Jakarta, in the AXA Tower. ILF is another one in Serpong, so just outside of, sorry, did I miss one? Oh, I missed one, sorry. That's all right. I missed the slide that I had 2 other test centers, Kelt in Surabaya, and the other one is Universitas Tanjung in Pontianak. So those are currently our 4 test centers, but the growing popularity of PTE in Indonesia, we're looking hopefully to expand into Medan and Bali next with new test centers there. And in the future, hopefully other locations in Indonesia as well. Convenient. So if one of your students wants to sit the test, as I mentioned, you can just go online to pearsonpt.com. This is one way, and book through the website. And that's also where they can access preparation resources, which I'll touch on later. The other thing I'll touch on later is the other way to book, which might not be through our website, but through the partner portal, which I'll talk about later. If agent partners are on, that's a way that you have your own dedicated space to book students and garner rewards on those bookings. So I'll touch on that later. But yeah, Without the partner portal, if you want to book students, you would go online to Pearson PT. Then they can access preparation resources, free and paid resources like scored practice test, or test prep videos on item types. Then they take the test at one of our test centers. Within 2 days, they get the results back and they can start providing those scores to institutions, unlimited to provide to institutions and free. Let's look at the test itself now. What is it? Or different test, sorry. So what is the PT portfolio made up of? The PT academic is used for study abroad, universities and around the world. So if you're looking to apply students are looking to apply in university programs anywhere in the world, they will likely need the PTE academic test. Under that, we also have the PT Academic UKVI, which is used for UK student visas. And then we have migration test as well, like PT Core for Canada migration, PT Home for UK migration. So where is the PT Academic recognized around the world? So PT Core for all visas in Canada, but also the PT Academic is recognized by 100% of Canadian universities, Toronto, U of T, McGill, University of British Columbia. In the US, we're recognized by over 1,300 universities, as well as Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale, Fulbright scholarships. So the scholarships I know are very popular in Indonesia. So we're recognized by scholarships around major scholarship bodies around the world. Another popular use case in the US for PT is nursing. So that's skilled migration accepted by a number of state nursing boards. So the PT is a really popular choice for healthcare professionals to go and work in the US. UK, we're recognized by 99% of universities in the UK, as well as all UK visas and Chevening scholarships. Growing number of universities in Europe, places like Sweden, Finland, Ireland, accepted by 100% of the universities there, and a growing number of universities in other European countries, as we see places like Switzerland and Germany grow in popularity. Netherlands, I know, is popular for under the LPDP scholarship in Indonesia. That also accepts PT scores for the LPDP scholarship. Growing number of universities in places like Malaysia, where we're accepted by MQA, and as well as NUS, NTU, top universities in Singapore, which is a growing popular destination and for Indonesian students. And then where we have our strongest foothold still is Australia and New Zealand, where we're accepted by 100% of universities, all visas, as well as the Australian Award scholarships and New Zealand Aid scholarships. Some of the universities around the globe that you might have sent students to, or where your students are interested in. Maybe you work with some of these. These are just some really well-known ones we've cherry-picked here, but many more you can search on our website or search the university itself for their entry requirements to find out the scores they require for PTE, as well as the other high-stakes test. So what's the test look like? As I mentioned, it's 100% computer-based. I mentioned our growing test center network, and I mentioned the convenience of sitting the whole test in 1 2-hour sitting in a computer console that looks something like this, right? So you're given and this is where you would check in. So when you arrive, you need to check in by showing your passport, doing a palm vein scan, and there's an administrator who's watching over the test, both for security reasons, to make sure there's no cheating happening, but also to make sure that there's someone there to assist you. If you run into technical difficulties, you simply raise your hand beforehand, and one of the trained administrators can come and assist you with what to do next, either overcome the technical issue or, arrange for a retest if it's something rarely that happens, but can happen, and they need to help you reschedule. So being 100% computer-based and computer marked, here's some things to remember about the test. We use authentic content, so we don't use actors, for example, or take for the speaking. It may be actually, for the listening. It may be something that's like a recorded lecture or something taken from a podcast that you're listening to. So it's not, dumbed down or recorded to be simple for ESL learners. And I think the schools that recognize us appreciate that. They want that. Governments and the recognizing bodies need that authentic content, right? Single attempt at questions. So you're not allowed to try it and then go forward and then say, oh, I need to go back and change my answer. You can't do that. So these are just important things to make your students aware of before they sit the PT. Forward-only navigation, again, you can't skip a question and then say, I'll go back to it later. Once you've passed it, it's done. So another important thing to remember for a computer-based, we use integrated skills, which I talked about earlier. So as you familiarize yourself with the test, especially if you offer prep, it's good to know which questions on the PT are measuring those integrated skills. Something that makes the test really unique and popular for schools to recognize and governments to recognize, but also something that as a test taker, you should be aware when you're being measured on both those skills so you know how to perform and prepare for both of them. It's timed, so there is time management to be aware of. Some questions will push you forward automatically. Others will Others, you need to sort of manage your time effectively and do some prep beforehand to understand what that time is, what sort of time allotment you have for that. So, for example, like the essay writing, it's good to know, okay, if, each essay I should spend a maximum of 15 minutes, probably a minimum of 10 to get through. Notes. You are provided, you're not allowed to bring anything in, but you are provided an erasable notepad and a pen during the exam. So good to build the note-taking skill, good to practice things like listening and taking notes on the main idea, some of the skills to build in. One of the things I'm going to talk about later is if any of you offer preparation, test preparation as part of your offering to the students you work with, we do have a teacher training program that's very popular in Indonesia and throughout Southeast Asia. Finishing sort of the last session for this year, but in 2026, we'll definitely be running that again, and it's a great way to increase your understanding of the PTE for offering prep and to become a badged PTE trainer, preparation provider, officially badged. So note-taking, yes, just a little note thing important about the test is you're given that erasable notepad and pen. So one of the skills that test takers should be working on for certain item types, and one of the things you can provide as a trainer or teacher of PTE is advice on how they can improve their note-taking skills and when best to use that on the PT test. And again, that will come up in our teacher training, which I'll talk about later. Linear and randomized is the other important thing to know. So when you sit the test, you're in a cubicle, there's someone sitting the test next to you, right? They're going to have the same basic test structure, but not the exact structure and not the same test item types, not the exact same content, right? So their repeat sentence, for example, will be different than your repeat sentence. So if you're, you know, you should try and block them out, but and most likely you won't hear them anyways. But if you hear them over there and they're like, oh, that's different than what mine was, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? They're not having the same content as you and is designed that way. Test is made of 22 different item types. We recently added 2 new item types that again lend to that authenticity of the test because they're like real world situations. One is summarize a group discussion. These sort of first ones. So this is the speaking writing, read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, answer short questions, and summarize group discussion and respond to situation. All speaking item types. Some of them integrated with other skills, but mainly speaking. And these 2 are new. So example, like summarize group discussion. I'm going to listen to 3 people talk maybe about time management at university and how they find it difficult to manage their time and the demands of extracurriculars, studying, and how it's different from high school because no one's telling them what they have to do. They have to manage it themselves and some of the strategies they've worked out. So I'm going to listen to that conversation with 3 people, and then my role as the test taker afterwards is to summarize that in 2 minutes and speak into the computer and say, this was a conversation about 3 students who are freshmen in university, and they're discussing about how they manage their time in university, some of the difficulties they have around time management. And so basically that's what I need to do in that task. And, to get full marks, I should try and speak for the full 2 minutes and give a clear summary of what I heard. And afterwards, that will be marked towards my overall speaking score. We do provide resources. I'll tell you afterwards how you can deepen your knowledge about how each of these 20 item types are marked and how it goes towards your final score. So there is resources available for you to deepen your understanding of the PT scoring. But essentially, the test is made of these 20 item types. Each of the 3 sections taking between 23 and 30 minutes, 31 and 39 minutes, is about your time allotment for each. And as mentioned, it is randomized. So read aloud. There could be 6 or there could be 7 of these, depending on your test structure, right? So not everyone's test will look exactly the same, right? I could get 7 read aloud and then 10 repeat sentences, whereas the person next to me could get 6 read aloud and then 11 repeat sentences. So it's randomized in that way, depending on each test taker. Okay, so that's the test structure. And this is what the test center looks like. So what's it like on test day when you go to the test center? As I mentioned, you should get there 30 minutes early. That's important. Bring your passport. You need to bring some official ID. Some people try and bring their ID card. You should only be doing that if you don't have a passport. If you have a passport, bring your passport. The other important thing here as agents to remember is when the student creates their MyPT account, they need to put in their name, their birth date. That needs to match what's on their official ID, which should be their passport, right? If their name that they put on their MyPT account when they made their account to register for their test doesn't match the name on their passport, they can be turned away at the test center. So very important to make sure those details match up when they create their account to register for the test. So get there 30 minutes early as well, because you have to do things like a palm vein scan, you photo taken for your score report, and you have to read through and agree to the test center rules. So you don't want to be rushed and go into your test all nervous because showed up late and everything was rushed. So get there early so you're nice and relaxed when you go in. You have to put your possessions like phone and anything else in a locker, which you lock and keep the key with you. And then you go into the test center. You sit in your cubicle with headphones, a microphone that have before you sit the test. You test that equipment to make sure it's working. Uh, you have an administrator there. If when you do the mic check, it doesn't seem to be registering, so you don't see the green line, which the computer instructs you. You should see. You can just raise your hand, and someone's there to assist you with any of that tech issues that you may encounter. Right. See if this video works. Okay. This is sort of a runs through test day, and here's some of the testimonials from students about why they chose PTE.
I'm sorry, Declan. Gordon. I think the video sound did not.
You'll hear it, right?
Yeah, we cannot hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking for that when let's see, it might be, here it is, my sharing options. Sorry, I can't seem to find. Okay, we'll skip it. I don't think I'll be able to figure it out on short notice, but that's sorry. She's just saying very similar to what I said. Arrived 30 minutes earlier, and then she's saying about bringing her passport, bring your valid ID. I'll just speak to it. Yeah, bring your ID, which should be a passport. Matches your test booking details. So again, they're reiterating much of the stuff that I already said. As I mentioned, there's rules, so you can't no watches. I guess that's because it could be like the fancy iWatches you have now. Yeah, so all of this sort of stuff. I guess the other very important thing is there's those new earbuds that translate for you. That will be one that, so yeah, they're going to be careful about that. Like, yeah, palm vein scan. So, which is actually interesting that I learned that I always heard fingerprinting, but there's actually more identifiers, I guess, in your palm than the fingerprint. So it's actually more. So yeah, she's taking everything off, putting it in the locker, and then yeah, they do sort of a check before you go in. If you're a woman, you have long hair, you have to lift it up to make sure you're not tucking notes inside your hair. You saw she got the erasable notepad and pen given to her. So as I mentioned, you are given that as a resource to use. Yeah, and there she is sitting the test. There's the administrator watching over. Yeah, raise your hand if you have a issue or need help, or if you need to go to the bathroom. You're allowed to do that. Or when you're done, you should also, and then you can go take your belongings. And she's done. And then one day later, she got her score back. Okay, and start providing to institutions. So, yeah. That video you can find on YouTube anyway, so useful to utilize with your test takers if they want to, if they're taking the test, they've never done it before, show them that, and it maybe clears up some idea about what it will look like when they go there. So process on test days, test takers arrive 30 minutes early, read and agree to regulations. There's an administrator there. You sit in your dedicated workstation and you go at their own pace, but within the time frames. and you are constantly monitored by CCTV. So no academic dishonesty because you probably will get caught. And uh, yeah, there's consequences to that, of course. Yeah, but also the CCTV, the important thing to remember is that if you're having difficulty or some issue with your console, raise your hand and someone will be in to help you. Here's what the score looks like. So under 48 hours, you get a score. We use the global scale of English, which runs through all of Pearson ELL products. It's a full sort of curriculum that you can review beforehand, especially if you're a PT, especially if you're an English language teacher. This is really useful to look at that global scale of English because that sort of shows you the outcomes that we're measuring. So you can see like, oh, if my student gets a 74 on PTE, that relates to global scale of English outcomes for the main communicative skills. So like can-do statements at 74, this student can, you know, can speak in full sentences with accurate pronunciation for most complex words or something like that, right? Like they're written down as outcomes as you would see in a curriculum, the global scale of English. So if you're an English language teacher, it's a really useful resource to understand what we're measuring and what are the measurable results we're looking for at each of the sort of language levels. So yeah, we measure your score from 10 to 90, which is the global scale of English. As I mentioned, you want to break down an understanding of the PT score. The score guide shows you those 20 item types and how each is scored essentially. So this can be accessed from our website, or you can reach out to myself to reach out to myself and I can provide that for you as well if you want that score guide PDF to understand the test a little bit deeper. So yeah, you get the overall score and then your 4 main communicative skills. We align to the other high stakes tests and the CFR, but essentially scores are valid for 2 years for most universities. And what else was I going to say about that? 4 main communicative skills. Um, yeah, aligned to the other high stakes tests. Scores are valid for 2 years. Oh, you check the university that your student's applying for what their score requirements are, right? Like we do have a concordance table where we show how we concord with IELTS, TOEFL, CFR, but the individual universities set their scores, right? So that's the important thing is to look at the university. So what's their requirement for Pearson PTE? And, you know, always useful to look with your students that you're counseling before they even sit the test. That way they have a goal in mind, right? I want to go to New South Wales. What's for an undergraduate arts degree, what's their requirement, right? What's their PT score requirement? If it's 55, that's your overall, and you know, speaking and writing no less than 52, right? Because some of them set different scores like that. Some only ask for an overall score. Some universities will say we want an overall of 55, but then we want no, you know, your speaking and your writing can't be less than 52, right? So you sort of have those individual communicative skills also set. We provide even a further breakdown, which is nice, especially for language teachers. Individual skills profile, where you can see short writing, you know, extended writing. So breaking down those item types even further. So this student needed to work mostly probably on their short writing. So something with their short writing skills need to be improved. Could be sentence structure, could be spelling, could be the issue. Vocabulary could also be the issue there. to work, improve their short writing. And then we give test taker recommendations. So like almost like a little guide on how you can improve for next time. And that leads into preparation. So we have a full suite of preparation resources that can be accessed by going to our website, pearsonpt.com/preparation. And if you create a MyPT account, which you need to do if you want to register for the test, that opens up this Smart Prep, which is a great resource. So you create a MyPT account, you sign into your MyPT account. You don't have to book a test, you don't have to pay anything, but before you book that test, before you sign up to sit your test, you can try out the Smart Prep resources, which are both our free and premium resources for preparation all in one place. Some of the free resources are things like video guides to each item type, test tip documents for each item type. So for repeat sentence, I can have a document that I can print off that gives me test tips like, oh, this is how you should approach this question to get the best results. Here's a video you can watch on what it looks like, that question, and what it looks like to answer that question in the actual test. So you can learn by each skill, break down. And we also have what's called a guided mock test. So you can go through the whole test for free with each item type, which each question shown, and actually you get to practice each question as part of a guided mock test, and then see sample answers and so on to guide you. Well, some of the premium test resources we offer are things like scored practice test, which is really unique to PTE that we have this scored practice test. This is a mirror image of the actual test that you can sit at home, full 22 item types, full 2-hour test. You can do from your computer at home and get a full score report back in 20 minutes. So sort of the ultimate mock test experience. If I want to sit the PT, now there is a fee for it, which is $36 US, dramatically less than the 220 you pay to do the actual test, right? And it really shows you the readiness because it's marked by the same AI marking engine as the actual test. It's all 22 item types, and I get a full score report. So it will tell me how I do on my essay writing, on my speaking item types, right? Full score report comes back that tells me, this is your overall score. These are four communicative skills, and it should be very indicative to how you'll do on the actual test day. In fact, most people probably do better on their actual test day because they've sat the scored practice test, and it's like a dry run through before you go and sit the actual test. So you're not going to have any curveballs on the actual day, any surprises if you've done the scored practice test first. So really smart investment for anyone, I think, looking to sit the PTE is that scored practice test. We have a question bank, again, $19.99. It's like is 300 item types of the different 22 item types, 300 questions from those 22 different item types that you can just say drill and kill, right? It's just a really great way to practice. It's just, especially if reinforced by, test tips and instructor-led activities on your own to just practice the item types over and get familiar, get comfortable, get that time management done right. And we have the official guide if you want a sort of textbook to work through as you practice. The official guide's great for that. And then these are some of the free guided mock test, as I mentioned, the study plan, the step-by-step guide, online videos, online courses, test tip documents, so documents for each of the 20 item types that say, here's 3 tips on how to improve your score, and videos. So I can watch a video which shows me what it looks like to answer and sit each question. So all of these are sort of on the test resort. And then if you want to go outside, there's third-party tests. I'm going to talk more about that as sorry, I'm realizing I'm running out of time here, so I better hurry up. I want to get to two really important things coming up. So again, the score guide, test taker handbook, these are all available. Test tips for speaking, test tips for writing, for reading, for listening. These are all available on our website and downloadable for free. Really nice campaign we have right now. So we understand that the English test is just one part of a large ecosystem that you work with students for study abroad. And we want to try and give some relief for the other parts of that ecosystem that you work with students. So we partner with Malaysia Airlines for travel, Casita for accommodations, and Flywire for payments and finances, and give you breaks and deals by sitting the PTE. You can get savings on all of these other parts of that student study abroad journey. So really useful. And we run these sort of campaigns in different markets throughout the year. So if you partner with PT, if you become a PT partner, something that's readily available to you to, give your students a break and help them out on other parts of the journey, not just the English testing. So how can you work with PTE? Here's three main ways, and I'm going to look at 2 and 3 in more detail really quickly here. First, you can accept the PTE if you're an institution. The second is you can become a PT partner as an agent or a prep center, and you can offer PT preparation. And we have 2 programs set up to work with us in that way. One is the PT Elite Partner Program, where we have it broken down into 4-tier partner program. You can start as a 1-star partner, then work your way to 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star partners, depending on how many referrals and bookings you make. So for example, we have partners in Indonesia who are 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star, right? The whole gamut. And as you book in to sit the PT, you get 1 to 10 voucher rebate, 10% discount on voucher purchases. Right, so these are some of the rewards you get. So every 10 bookings, you can get a free test voucher at the end of every quarter. Or you can choose the 10% discount on voucher purchases, and maybe you want to pre-purchase 50 PT vouchers to sell to your network of students. You can purchase it at 10% discount and then resell at cost. And so you're making 10% commission on each one. And as you go up in the tiers, you get even more rewards, up to 15% sort of commission that you can take as voucher rebate or, discount on purchasing vouchers. Things like ISAF certification, invitations to end of year events. So I'll give you my email at the end, and send you a document that breaks this down into more details. But yeah, again, we give things like the question banks I mentioned. You get free practice resources if you qualify as a 2-star partner, free SPTs, scored practice tests that you can utilize with your test takers, discounting on prep that we give, workshops that you can provide to students or through PT as a partner, counselor training, preparation course starter kits if you're running prep. So many rewards that, as again, I'm happy to provide this document to you and how you can become a PT partner. It's free. You just need to simply register your interest, some co-branding, things like pull-up banners, flyers, window decals, and social packs all coming to you so that you can promote PT through your channels. Okay. Yeah, and you can move up the tiers at the end of every year, depending on how many PT students you book, right? So it's a tiered program with rewards, increased rewards depending on your booking. But even one-star partners get a nice set of rewards, and it's free to join, as I mentioned. They give you a certificate so that you can show that affiliation, registration center decal, window decals that you can put, and just to show that you're an official PT partner as it continues to grow in popularity. This is a way that we can showcase, our affiliated partners who we work with, who have that sort of direct line to PT, and we know are offering high quality advice to students. Some of the resources, yeah. I'll just leave this up for a second. This is where you can scan this and uh, that's the expression of interest form that you can fill out. Now, once you fill that out, I'll contact you with the next details on joining the partner program. So there's no fees, as I mentioned, but we do run a due diligence just to make sure all our partners on each of our partners before they're onboarded to the partner platform. One of the things I didn't mention is you also get access to the partner portal, which is a way for you to register students directly and put all your agents on that portal. So you can not only register students to sit the test through your portal, that's how we track your registrations. And you can also get, it's also a way for you to sort of have oversight over maybe your students' scores come back. You can see that student's scores have been returned. But anyways, if you join the partner program, if you register your interest, another thing I'll do is I'm happy to give an orientation on that partner portal and show you in more detail what that looks like. So moving forward. So yeah, I'll give you my email at the end. I'll put that in chat. So you can also reach out to me if you don't want to fill out the expression of interest form yet, but you want to get the PDF on the partner portal. You want to understand more about the partner program and partner portal. I'll put my email in there. Yeah. And last thing I'd like to talk about is the Credly badge. So, I'm sorry, the PT teacher accreditation. So we run this twice a year. It is a sort of 10.5 hour badge teacher training course. And at the end, you get an official badge that we run it online in Indonesia. So it's a 2-day online event, really interactive. We just finished sort of the last one for this year. We had tons of teachers, over 100 teachers join in this interactive session. This is our master trainer. They go through all the 20 item types, breakout rooms, games, activities, discussions, where you basically increase your understanding of what the PT test is and how you can teach it to your students. So, and at the end, you can celebrate, teachers get a badge, an official, verifiable certification that you've been trained as a PT teacher trainer through this course, and you can add that to your resume if you work at a school, agency, something your agency can use to promote courses, because yeah, it's managed by Pearson, and if you want to learn more about that, pearsonpt.com/teachers-asia is where you can go to find out when our next upcoming teacher training is for that. But again, if you offer prep, that's something you can do. So, yeah. explore more, go to our website where you can find much of the information I presented today. And you can also go to, yeah, learn more at, follow our Instagram and so on. Any questions? You can put into chat or raise your hand and come off of mute.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gordon, for the detailed presentation. Hopefully, this will give you more and better understanding of what PTE is. And for those who have questions, feel free to leave in the Q&A box. Uh, we will help to answer the questions to you guys. And just a little reminder, later on, if you still have any questions or after this webinar, you want to ask more, just we will be your first point of contact from Yes Education, and then we will help you to connect with our partners as well. So far, do you have any questions, everyone? I think some already aware about the Pearson test, and some may or may not aware the details of it yet. So I think it's a good introduction. Um, and yes, it's actually great to know that a good reminder that it's actually accepted globally. So
Mm.
not just certain countries or certain institutions, but it's accepted globally for US, Canada, Australia, Singapore, Asia, all a lot of options of institutions as you may seen in Gordon's presentations earlier. And also the result is coming out pretty quickly. So it's only 48 hours, correct me if I'm wrong. So if any of your students wants to take a PDE, it's actually a good options for them as well. Mhm. Okay, we have one question here. Some students mentioned that the minimum score of PTE was changed from 58 to 65 overall from several universities. Will it be applied for all universities as well, or it depends on each university policy?
Yeah, each university sets their own score, so there's no, across the board indication. So you sort of have to look to each university. Yeah, and those changes came based when we added the new item types and some scoring changes in the back end as well. So if you had students who were familiar with the PT as it was before, and then they see this increase and they're really freaked out, there's also indication that that's based off of the new scoring uh, rubrics where we've seen higher scores coming in those categories where it's been raised. So it's kind of offsets what we're seeing. I know a lot of people get worried about that, but the scoring rubrics were changed in the background. So that's part of the reason why the scores were raised, because there's the expectation or research showed that, there are higher scores being reached due to the new rubrics. Yeah. So yeah, reach out to universities directly.
Okay, so thank you for answering the questions. Actually, we are reaching out the end of the session. I think your presentation is very detailed and pretty much cover everything they need to know. But after this, if one of you still have questions, maybe the questions will came up when they saw the students' cases, right?
Mm.
So just feel free to reach us out. After this, we will help to assist you with the questions and connect you with the right person as well after the webinar. So Yeah, I think, Gordon, or do you have something more to add before our session ends?
Nothing more, just thank you very much for your time. And yeah, we hope to be able to work with you in the future. And thank you very much to Yes Education for the opportunity to meet you today and to share a little bit more about PT. And yeah, please, if you need to know more or want to understand more about the PT test, reach out to Yes, and they can then contact us, and we'd be happy to liaise with you and provide more information through Yes Education. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and thank you to Yes Education.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gordon. And thank you so much, everyone, to come. And I think it's time to say goodbye for now. I will see you next time in the next webinar. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.